Look. Oh, there we go. It's been recorded.
There we go. At the start of the Bots meeting, you start off, Marcel.
Yes, good morning, everyone, again. Bots on the 5th of May in 2020. Another video conference meeting from all the team. And we just did a little exercise. We looked out the window and put in our head what we've seen, then closed our eyes. And after that, for 30 seconds, after that, we put in a short couple of lines onto paper what the first thought was in our mind after that. And we start with the introduction of the team members and share what we came up with the drawing. So I'll kick that off so you know a little bit what we share with each other. So my name is Marcel Vogt. I'm the owner of Country Consulting, an IT consulting firm. We do all support for IT needs, IT communication needs, from phone systems to servers to internet and security. Now, when I looked out of the window and closed my eyes, this is what came up into my mind. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Very cute.
There we go.
Very cute, yes.
So what this means for me is, look, we have a sunny day. I can see the sun.
Is that your girlfriend?
Not quite. That's actually me, probably. More likely with the hair. It's a sunny day and it makes me smile. So a sunny day, it makes me smile, and it will be a good day. So that's from me. And I'm handing over to Dennis.
Hi, Joe.
Finally got my video working. Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. Hey, good morning, everyone. You know my name. I think I know my name, Dennis. I've got several business interests, as you know. I'm still doing some HR work. Various ones have been asking me about that. I was just explaining to Belinda a few minutes ago what I was still doing there. But my main focus is on my window furnishings business, so blinds and curtains, awnings and shutters, mainly residential, but we do commercial work as well. We do indoor and outdoor, so cover pretty much the whole range of things. And we've been pretty busy over the last few weeks and months, so that's good. Haven't had a downturn. I work from home and I look out my office window here, second story, and two things dominate really. One is the massive tree that's across the road in the school grounds. And really, if you look that way, you can't see anything else. You can only see the tree. But if I look to the right, I see my my favourite cafe, and so that's what came to mind was my cup of coffee.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Dennis. We pass on to Frank.
Frank, good morning, everyone. Frank Muller. Also running two businesses, one shipping business at Lock Logistics, and the other one business booking business for the greater Brisbane area. The business broking side not doing so well at the moment for obvious reasons. Shipping business is sort of more or less as usual, so that's quite good. Keeps me busy and out of mischief. Thank you.
You didn't do any drawings?
I did.
Show us.
Was his hair? No?
Can you see it?
Yeah.
A little bit closer, a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very detailed.
No, it's not. It's supposed to be the beach, a tent, a car, and a fireplace.
So not the fence. Okay.
Very good. Belinda.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Belinda. I have been continue to be stood down from my retail job, but it's actually given me great impetus and a hell heap of time to work on my work, my personal work, which is fantastic. So write, travel and speak are still the keywords for my life moving forward. I'm in the process of getting some videos done, getting an online course that I've been working in the background on for such a long time. I mean, everybody seems to be coming up with one, but this is what I'm working on with a friend, and then I'm going to refine it until it gets to a point where I'm happy to deliver it to a more upper end client base. So that's really cool. I've just been spending really cool time doing that, and I've had my mum on a Zoom call with her friends every Friday, which has been just really delightful for her. For someone who's a complete technophobe, she's harassed me this morning and said, "You're not going to be on that thing when I need to be on it, are you? Are you sure that there's plenty of time for me to talk to my friends?" I'm going, "Yeah, Mum, it's okay. I've got my desktop and you can be upstairs on the laptop." So it's like, she's just I love it. It's amazing. Anyway, so I looked outside. I actually don't have a window here because I'm in the garage, but I looked out the garage door. There's a lovely strelitzia out there, but my picture is, this is the, I don't know whether you can.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, colours.
So grass, and there's a little bush out there that's got some pink flowers on it, but it just so happens that that's the page that I opened up today. It says Nourish Your Soul up there, which of course nature always does that for me. So I'm a happy camper. Here we go.
very good. Tim, can we pass on to you with your magnificent painting there?
Yeah, so I'll just bear with me a sec there, guys. Might be a second. Let's get rid of this background. Okay, so I've been hard at work. I just looked out the window before, and what I was sort of very quick at my painting. So this is what I sort of come up with. Okay, very, very quick.
Very, very quick.
Even the same sort of colours as what I saw out the back. You know, I saw the story bridge. And did I do a good job or not?
Amazing.
Getting you means the term creative accounting, Tim.
Well, we do a lot of that, obviously, but we definitely do a lot of creative accounting, and that's what we call creative. You know, I guess, yeah, creative drawing.
Very good. And yeah, Tim, you will talk about your business a little bit later on, a little bit more.
Just a networking number cruncher, podcasting people's perspective. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tim. Caroline, if you are on mute, you will be next. Wonderful.
Good morning, everybody. How are we? It's lovely to see you all. Yeah, things have been really quiet for me. So the club obviously folded. A lot of my customer service training stuff has obviously stopped. A little bit of clients with an end of the month awards that we had to write. So there's one that's going through at the moment. There's a couple of clients that were paying their invoices. But then after that, it was job seeker or job keeper. So I'm looking at that to see which one will help me through the next stage, because I'm in a position where I don't want to have to give up what I've built so far and go out and get a full-time job. So while you feel guilty to start with that you're applying for money that you don't know whether you should be applying for or not, I actually am trying to convince myself that it's for the greater good and it's the right thing to do. Yeah. So I do struggle with that because that's not my thing. You know, I like to earn my own money. So we're hanging in there with that. But hubby's an essential employee for our ACQ, so he's still working. So that's good for us money-wise too. And exactly that. It's lovely to, I've been working from home for so long. It's just natural for me anyway. I miss my coffee catch-ups. I miss my hugs with people. That's my big issue, my big challenge. Had a few group hugs. But I sit near my back deck and I only had a little scrap of paper. But I have the sun and I've got a table out there. So I'm looking forward to having my coffee on that table and watching the birds fly by. That's what I'd like to do.
Wonderful. That's a very good impression. Yes, thank you. Nikki. Oops, you're muted. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh, good. Well, it's lovely to be here. I've had, this is my 5th Zoom meeting this week. I think the banks are all thinking, oh no, we can't meet. So everybody's having a Zoom meeting at the moment. So it's good to catch up and stay up to speed with all what's happening in the marketplace. I'm actually not overly busy myself. I've just got a loan approved, which was really good. Only took from the 1st of April to get approved.
Oh, long time.
So don't go with a bank that has overseas processing centres.
Yeah.
Because they're all working from home as well. Apart from, they actually, just as a note, they actually were pre-approved at a higher amount late last year, but because they've changed the living expenses, now they couldn't borrow as much as what they wanted. So fortunately, they had the money to do it. So that's good. I suppose I've been focusing on doing a bit more training, keeping up to speed with loans. I have had a few inquiries, but they haven't come to fruition. So hopefully
Sorry, there's a lot of background noise in somebody's thing there. I'm not sure who's got the background noise.
Perhaps people can mute while
Yeah.
they're not talking. I don't think it's me. Kevin's gone out.
Okay, just keep going.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I suppose that's about all I need to say. And I was looking out my lovely window. I'm very lucky, and I think a lot of us are. You've got a beautiful view to look at. So I don't know. That's my trees and the sun's shining out the back, which is a view from my window. It's probably a bit pale there. Haven't got the colours like some of us.
Very good, the sun too. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
Now, Nikki to Vicky, please. Unmute, and we are there.
Good morning, everybody. Vicky Parker. I work with USANA Health Sciences. That's a cellular nutrition company. And I've been very busy because we're doing a 28-day challenge at the moment. So I'm taking a few people through their holistic health journey. It's so exciting. I'm loving it. I'm getting some muscles. I'm getting some glutes. So because I'm doing all these online exercises. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way. I love building my business through sharing the love of health, good food, exercise, all those things. Okay, so my picture, I looked out the window and, you know, I don't know if you can see this. Sorry, I've got all the work. I've got the instructions. I'm an instruction girl, so I've got the instructions on how to do it. And if you can't see that clearly, that's a corrugated iron roof. And then, because I had to do it a couple of times, Marcel, you know, like, okay, no, I'm not meant to draw what's out the window. I'm meant to draw what comes in my mind. So I got my corrugated iron roof, my son, and some flowers. And we are lucky, Nikki. We do live in a beautiful world. And even if you're in the suburbs and don't have the beautiful water like Joe's got all around her, we have a beautiful city that we live in. So
Wonderful.
that's me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vicky. Now, Janet, would you be next? Just
got my audio on. Hi everybody. Sitting here actually in my workspace, my piano teaching studio, which has been adapted for online teaching. So I'll just give you a quick, I'll tip the screen down a little bit and you can see the piano there. So I have an overhead view as well, which I haven't got on now, but the students can see me side of the piano here. And then I have an overhead on, if you look up, you can see the boom up there from the speaker, from the, what do you call it? The thing that holds the microphone. The microphone stand. Oh, I'm all teched out, I tell you. But it's been great because I haven't had to stop teaching. I actually went online 2 weeks before the end of the school term, so it's probably adds up to about 5 weeks by now. And I'll just put the light on, the curtain back, sorry. So I offered the students, sorry, I'm just going to organise this curtain. I offered my students, first of all, to have online lessons as a choice, and then I realised I'm pretty well an immune compromised person myself. So I said, right, that's it, everyone is going across to online. And we started off with Skype, and I have changed to Zoom. And yeah, with a few tweaks on audio settings because the actual meeting settings are not suitable for an instrument. Things like intermittent sound is cut out. So all those long notes and things that you want to hear disappear. So there are settings which we change, and then it all works really well. So apart from a few loss of about, well, I'm going to say loss, suspended lessons for about 10 of my students, parents. Some of them are adults and just can't cope with technology, and the others are adults, parents who have really small children, and they don't seem to have the concentration span to and to look at a screen, to kind of interact with a person on screen. So I've probably lost, oh, that's 10 out of 38. So it's nearly a third, isn't it? That's almost 30%. Tim, help me out on that. But I may be able to apply for Job Seeker. I don't know. I'm going to look into that. Sorry, Tim?
Sounds about right. We'll get there.
Yeah, so I may qualify. Anyway, I've been immersing myself in learning all the technology related to teaching online, and techniques that have to change as a result of your being online. There's a lot to do. I'm working in a space of about, well, the length of the piano and about 2 meters wide, and then I have storage, of course, across the other side of the room. But it's really cozy and it works really well, so I'm happy with that. Good to be able to be busy. And I'm not too worried about my lack of income because my husband's working and he still has a job. And I have another side business of developing assets. So it's all pretty hectic, and yeah, my brain has been developing lots because of all the learning I've been doing. I look out this window where I'm sitting now, and it's mostly fences and then trees. The trees are what? Can you see that okay?
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they're meant to be tree tops. The trees are what I love. And around here, out of any window you look out, and you can see trees because I live near a creek reserve, and they're really tall trees, so I can see the treetops rather than the actual trunks. So trees do it for me.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that one. We hand it over now to our boat people. Over to Joe, if you share your thing out there and unmute. Yes, wonderful.
So I'm on day 38 of physical isolation, living aboard a 43-year-old yacht on Moreton Bay. So lots of things are very different, and some things I'm trying to make the same. When this journey started, I came here with the mindset that, well, I work from home anyway. I have for many, many years. Oh, you know, nothing's different. I'll just carry on, except that everything is different. So everybody thinks I'm on just a fabulous long holiday, except that I am still doing my client calls and having Zoom sessions with clients and trying to work that around. Okay, saying to my partner, well, I need to be stationary at this time because I've got this meeting, and then, you know, sometimes the wind upsets that and then we have to stay longer, or, you know. So I had a bit of a mind shift really only this week, and I'm surprised it's taken this long. I thought, well, because we thought we would stay out for another couple of weeks until the country's completely opened up again. There's no point going back while lots of things are still shut. I thought, well, if everybody thinks I'm on holiday, I should actually try and have a holiday. I don't know why it took me so long. So I've tweaked that a little bit and thought, okay, well, I'm going to say I'm having a working holiday. You know, 1987, 88, when I came to Australia as a backpacker, that was fine as a working holiday. And it hadn't, because I've been so much preaching over the last 15 years about separating work from your home life, like that's part of my message for our mental health. I sort of took me a little while to cotton on to the fact that actually at this time, that's not exactly where we're at. I actually need a blended model for now. And so I've been trying to share the serenity of the place that I am. I've been doing quite a lot of Facebook lives of sunrises and sunsets, and in fact when we were asked to draw the picture, it was awkward for me to get up quickly and have a look, and I thought, well, look, I know what's out there, and I didn't have an A4 piece of paper. So I've literally just drawn the sun, because I know that the sun is really bright, and water, and I've written ripples of serenity, and I've been trying to share the serenity of my situation. When I have one thing that I have done, because I haven't fitted in all the extra things that I thought I would get done, but one thing I have devoted some time to is doing Julian Mather's online video course. So I know some of you in the group, Belinda and Kevin, at least a few of you know Julian Mather, who's a world-class videographer, and he has I think he was in the process of doing an online program anyway, but he's fast-tracked that, and I have started to do that. And so I have really enjoyed the process of learning some different video techniques. So look, if I come out of this physical isolation on the water with just maintaining my client calls, and the one learning experience be to improve my videos, well, then I think I have to be grateful for that opportunity. So there've been a few, I think I did a live last night, but over the last few days I've done a few funky different videos where I'm shooting using different techniques when I'm shooting.
Fantastic.
So and I didn't even use the word vitality, did I? So I'm a vitality expert.
There we go.
Joe, can I ask you a question?
Well done, Joe. Well done.
Who was that?
How are you going with your kickbiking?
You already knew the answer to that, Mr. Keating. I've done a few girls online boot camp workouts. So when we've been able to access a beach, well, then I've done that on a beach on a Saturday morning. But yes, look, the exercise, some things you have to be real, like, but you know, you're moving around using different muscles. So even though, and I'm also probably eating a bit more than it is what it is. So nice to connect here. Thank you for organising.
Wonderful, Joe. Thank you very much for sharing your unique experience out there on the boat, on the bay. And I think in one part we are all a little bit jealous, you know, that you can do that. On the other hand, yes, it can be as well mentally different.
So that's what everybody keeps saying that, oh, you know, you're on a 7-week holiday. And meanwhile, I'm a bit stressed, like testing my own vitality because I'm trying to work as normal. And so it's not normal, but I think this week I've found the compromise where I do what I can do, and otherwise I need to enjoy it because it's only going to be for, you know, maybe another few days.
Yeah,
exactly. Wonderful. We hope so, actually, in fact. So last but not least, Kevin, what's your intaking and your view of this morning out of the window?
Oh, well, yes, and Joe, I'm just sort of I'm jealous of you being able to isolate in such a beautiful place, but I'm just hoping that the boat that you're on doesn't have the name Princess in it anywhere.
No. It's vitality. So
oh, excellent. I've got great name.
Vitality. I'm trying to share vitality, share serenity. So good observation, though, Kevin.
Thank you, Marcel. Yes, I did a drawing. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. I had a very skinny sort of pen, but that's the drawing that would look at my window. My windows are closed at the moment because I seem to, over the last month, be living in a building site. I've got the people over the back from me having their roof replaced, and the people across the road are having a major renovation done. So I'm just occasionally I need to close the windows because of the banging and they're taking down scaffolding in the next door at the moment. You know, you can imagine how noisy that is. But near my window, I've also got, again, like Tim, I just sort of whipped these up in my sort of with my handiwork just a little bit earlier on, and that's my to work. Hi ho, off to work we go. Somebody gave me these ages ago for a presentation I did. It was in lieu of payment, they gave me happy and bashful, and I'm not quite sure if that was an assessment of my personality, or if it was the only two dwarfs that they could actually get a hold of. But yeah, like Joe and all the others, I've been learning about sort of technology. I've been setting myself up now. I'm a huge fan of. I actually came from a technological background, but and as you know, I specialize in presentation skills. But I've been moving it a lot now to be able to do presentations in this sort of modality. And Jeanette, I actually have my son, who you know is musically inclined, has actually been doing lessons online with his music teacher from school. It's actually working for him. We actually, at any one time in this house, have 4 people. My wife is working from the front office. We've basically got 2 offices in the house now. I'm from here, and I've got a 15-year-old working online, and a university student trying to be online. And it all works well, except when the younger student is doing trumpet lessons online, which most instruments you can sort of contain the sound a little bit, but trumpets go all the way down the street. So that's always an interesting challenge. Luckily, he's relatively competent. And the other thing that I've learned, and I'll just show you this very quick little view around my office to be able to see the places that I don't normally let people see. But what you're seeing now is, here's me, here's sort of the back room. There's, when I get too stressed, there's my lounge chair with the massage set up in it. There's the offices behind. But what I've been able to do over the last week is actually set myself up now with a 4-camera setup, all 4 views, 3 cameras. One camera has 2 different views. For example, with this one, I can do a long view like that when I want to stand up and have people see me delivering standing up, or I can go back now to actually close-ups. That's being done off the 1 camera. And what I showed you before is actually, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I'm actually using my iPhone as a camera. So if anybody's interested in the software, you need to be able to do that. I'll put it in there for you. I think that's the right spelling. But yeah, Epoch Cam. You just download a little app onto your iPhone, and then you can actually use your iPhone as a second camera into Zoom. So in case any of you would like to be able to have that sort of flexibility, I can sometimes take people for a walk with my camera to actually show them something a little bit different. But yeah, as I might have mentioned last time, our stuff has got very, very busy now, because we're actually now doing live Zooms into classrooms, both across Queensland and into New Zealand. And it's actually kept us so busy, because we've basically got our marketplace broken up into 3 areas, Queensland, New Zealand, and the rest of Australia. And we haven't even got to the rest of Australia yet, because those other 2 areas are keeping us so busy. So yeah, real... and the modality is basically we're delivering the courses directly into the classrooms now. We have always had in our mind our primary market was the laziest teacher imaginable, and how can we make life easy for them? And it's actually
yeah, sounds good.
Well.
Kevin, sorry, I need to cut you a little bit short, because we need to have a little bit time. Sorry, we went a little bit longer than I expected.
My apologies.
No, you're okay. We all did a little bit longer. Do you have a drawing there as well? Did you do a drawing?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Yes, I did show it to you at the start,
okay,
Marcel. It was obviously
right.
Totally forgettable.
No, sorry. I was just distracted. No, wonderful. Sorry about that, Kevin. Yes, we have to unfortunately move on, because Tim has only limited time, and we need to close off short at 9. So I keep that in mind for our next meeting, that we keep our presentations a little bit shorter, but it was very interesting to hear and see what you all shared. And gathering quickly, everything seems very positive, and the sun has an impact on many of us, which is very important. So look, thank you again, and sorry about that I have to cut it short here a little bit, but I don't want to cut Tim short of his presentation. He's done some fabulous preparation work. So Tim, pass it on to you.
Okay, how are we all? Timbo's Tax Planning 101. Okay, it just happens that I've done 100 episodes now of From the Valley podcast, so this could conceivably be episode 101 anyway, so that sort of got a second ring to it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so this is sort of a bit of a borrowed, well, the concept has been borrowed from something I've done before, which Dennis may have seen, and maybe Marcel, the A to Z of tax planning. I don't know if you guys remember at a KBBG BJAC breakfast last year, I used an A to Z sort of theme to every letter of the alphabet, something to do with tax planning. So this is what this is all about. And there's a couple of new descriptions for letters that wouldn't have been there last year, but there's obviously some of the same ones remain as well. And we'll go into a bit of detail with a couple of things. There we go. I've gone too far. So tips and tricks one. So what does A stand for? Asset write-offs. We've got a new threshold now, $150,000 for each item of plant, which is until the 30th of June 2020. And that is a 1-year write-off. So that means that if you buy anything between that period of the 12th of March 2020 to the 30th of June 2020, exclusive of GST, if the item of plant is 150 grand of lot or below, you can get a write-off in one go. Bear in mind, if you're buying a motor vehicle, you'll get a write-off up to the depreciation limit, which is works out to be about nearly $53,000 potentially. So asset write-offs is a big thing. B, sort of bringing forward deductions, so you can obviously look at paying stuff before the end of June in order to get a tax deduction in this year versus next year. Common items might be travel, materials for your business, rent, that sort of thing. C, cash flow boost. Now this is a new one because we'll talk a bit more about cash flow boost in another slide. Obviously, one thing that we always want to keep up to date with is computer and technology. So computer expenses and technology upgrades are always a good thing to consider at this time of the year. So it's C. D, defer income. So obviously look at invoicing into the next financial year where you can, if you're not going to get paid before the end of June. That's a fairly common strategy. E is for estate planning. Estate planning is obviously, is my will up to date? Have I got enduring powers of attorney in place? Do I have a plan in place with my superannuation should something happen to me? So you should always be reviewing estate planning at this time of year anyway, or every year for that matter. F, finance, obtaining funds to acquire assets. So finance is a very common thing that we see in the tax industry. And in order to be able to buy those items of plant, in order to be able to buy those assets that you want, you need to go to the bank and obtain finance or a mortgage or finance, car broker, whatever it may be. So that's very, very important. G is for growth. So part of what we're going to sort of be looking at going forward, we've been struck with this COVID-19 situation. Obviously want to get through this. The important thing is to get through and get to the end, or get to 6 months time, get to the end of to the start of October, and then try to regrow the business at that point in time. But that's something we always do, and tax planning is part of that. H, there's a few things that H stands for. Holiday. Obviously, everyone loves a holiday. I like a holiday more than the next person. So if you are able to save a lot of tax via some strategies that you do, you'll have extra money in your bank account, so you can actually take that and spend it on a holiday. So that's the reason H stands out there. Home office expenses is very, very common, especially now that a lot of people are working from home. When it comes to COVID-19 and where the world is at the moment. So home office expenses There's some new rules that have just come out. If you want, so make sure you sort of look at those particular rules when it comes to there's a higher cents per hour rate now that's available during the times of COVID-19. It was 52 cents an hour if you're working from home. In the previous financial year, that's jumped up to 90 cents, and that can cover some other situations and expenses. So I'm not going to go into that, but home office expenses is very, very important. There's a couple of things that I stands for, but one that is obviously important is it tax deductible? So obviously, if you're going to spend some money, you'd like it to be tax deductible to the business. So is it tax deductible? There was another I letter. I'm just trying to think what it was. That was very, very important in the context of what we're sort of discussing. I may come back to that if I remember. J would have been something different last year, but this year J is for JobKeeper, because everybody, if you're in business, there's quite a high percentage of businesses that are eligible for JobKeeper as a result of some things going on in their business that's obviously led to a bit of decline. There'll be two particular slides that we'll go through shortly, which will go into JobKeeper in a lot more detail. K is for keep good business records, keep backups, keep on the cloud. So these are the things that are very important in order to be able to make your if you ever get audited, if you're trying to find records, you've got to keep good orderly records. Make it easy to find, make it so you can search, make it so that you've got backups, and those backups also should probably be on the cloud as well in this day and age. So some other tips and tricks: liaise with your accountant. So you've got to have a good accountant these days, especially if you're in business. Or your advisors as well, bookkeepers. Liaise with those professionals. They're going to help you obviously do well in your business. So liaise with your accountant. Motor vehicle expenses. Now this is one of the most important types of deductions that we have as small businesses. It's good in Australia that you can obviously still claim motor vehicle expenses for travel, for work-related or business-related purposes. So keeping a logbook every 5 years is definitely something you need to do. Or every time you get a new car, you need to start doing the logbook. Keep a track of a diary record if it's going to be less than 5,000 Ks for the year. But if you're going to use it fairly significantly for business, then always keep a logbook for 12 weeks, and that way you can demonstrate, okay, we've used it 82% for work or 90%, whatever that figure is. It becomes very, very important. Okay, N is for now, so that means act now. If you're going to do something about this before the end of the financial year, we've only got less than 8 weeks until the end of the financial year now. Now's the time to act. Now's the time to make all those plans. Now is the time to talk to your accountant. Now is the time to put some plans in place for next financial year. Also, N is for next financial year as well. O is for organised. So that means be organised. It's a very important part of tax planning is to always be organised. P is for prepay expenses. So that's obviously paying your expenses in advance. What you can do with prepayments is you can take a prepayment for up to 12 months in advance and claim all of that deduction out to 30 June 2021. So that's common things that you might prepay. Rent. So if you've got commercial premises, you might pay that in advance. Not that that's a hard thing to do in this COVID environment, but that's an example of something that you can prepay over a 12-month period. You can prepay insurance. You can prepay interest on an interest-only loan. You can prepay lots of different things potentially. So that's very, very important. Okay, Q, question everything. So if you're not sure about anything whatsoever, question it. Question your accountant. Make sure there's clarity in your mind as to what you can and can't do when it comes to business, when it comes to accounting and tax. So question everything until you know for sure. I think it's very, very important to make sure you do that. Query anything that doesn't make sense until you have an understanding in your mind. R is for repairs and maintenance. Now, get those repairs and maintenance items done prior to the end of the financial year, whether you've got an investment property and you need to get an extra deduction in your rental property, get that done over the next 8 weeks, or repairs and maintenance in the business. That's just a very common claim. That's why I sort of have spelled that out, that repairs and maintenance. S, we've got a few things there. Obviously, small business. We're all small people that are in small business. So S stands for small business, and there are a lot of concessions that are available to small businesses. So what we spoke about before, the instant asset write-off, which is very, very important. So the instant asset write-off is available to those businesses that turn over under $10 million per year. Also, you can account for things on a cash basis, accounting basis, where that's appropriate. So small business deductions are certainly a lot more accelerated. So that small business is very, very important. But just as something as important as we see, superannuation contributions. Now, over the next 8 weeks, it's a good idea to have a review the situation with your superannuation. And I'll talk a little bit about that, as if I may, with superannuation. Obviously, if you've made some money and you're looking at ways to reduce your tax, then those super contributions do a long way. You've got a concessional limit of $25,000 per year per individual. The other side of the spectrum with COVID-19 is we've seen the government announce that you've got, if you've had a downturn of 20% in your income, you're eligible for things like JobKeeper as a business. You're a sole trader that's all of a sudden had to go onto one of these Job Seeker or JobKeeper because your income's gone down. You are eligible to access your super if you want to, and $10,000 you can access tax-free before the end of June 2020. Now, as you've probably seen in the news, we've had over 900,000 people in Australia already access their super early, which is 1 in every 30 people have already accessed their super early, which is quite staggering considering it's only been open for it's only been open for 2 weeks. So, and obviously doing that, my Gov account, it's a self-assessment in a lot of ways. So you've got to basically say that you've had hardship and that you're meeting one of those conditions in order to apply. I'm not sure if anyone, put your hand up, anybody here that's may have already accessed their super in the last 2 weeks because of COVID-19. So Belinda, yep. So it's certainly something I don't encourage unless you really have to, but in these days and times, everybody's circumstances are different. So T is for travel, tax planning. This is what we're talking about here, tax planning. Travel is obviously a fundamental part of business in a lot of ways. We're traveling to different capital cities. We're going over the toll bridge, that's travel. We're basically, so travel is something you can obviously look at. You can prepay travel in advance and claim it as a tax deduction as well. U is for understanding your obligations, understand exactly what you need to do, and make sure that you're fully aware. So like the sort of falls in line with Q, question everything but understand it. V is, at this time of the year, can you vary your PAYG tax downwards in order to be able to pay less tax? And with COVID-19 happening at the moment, the ATO government and the ATO have allowed any variations to take place without any penalties. So you are allowed to vary your instalment for the March quarter. You are allowed to vary your instalment for the June quarter. You can back out the previous 2 quarters as well. And obviously, V's and value is another sort of word we use quite a bit when it comes to accounting and tax. W is for write off bad debts. So have a look if there's anybody that owes you money. Look at writing those bad debts off. X factor, X is for X factor. Make an effort now. It makes a huge difference to the end of year result. So that's the X factor in all of this, in all of tax planning. Y is for yes and you. Yes, you can do it, and you are the responsible party. Z is for zone in. So zone in on your business. Know exactly what's going on in your business. Know where things are traveling in the future, where things have come from. So zone in. Know where you're at. How does the cash flow boost work? Okay, this is happening if you're an employer So if you're, can be any type of entity, sole trader, partnership, trust company, etc. If you've got employees or you're employing yourself, so if you're a company or trust and you're employing yourself, and you're doing that prior to the 12th of March 2020, and you're employing and you're paying employer wage, then the cash flow boost is going to be a benefit to you. The minimum amount is $10,000. So basically, if you've got an employee, you paid them even only $1,000 worth of wages in that March quarter, then your business is eligible for a $10,000 minimum boost. The maximum is $50,000, and pay more PAYG withholding than the $10,000 over that 6-month period, you actually receive more than the $10,000 as a cash flow boost. It's the maximum amount of $50,000. The amount of the boost gets paid again also from July to October 2020, so they just double it up. So if you've got 10,000 in that first tranche, you also get the same amount, 10,000 between July and October, depending on when you lodge your activity statements. The payment or the credit, we're seeing a lot of these get refunded to clients' bank accounts. The ATO deciding to do that as opposed to offsetting debts, which is good for them, but that means the debts are still there. It's basically it's a tax-free income, so it's not actually going to have to be declared on your business's tax return at all, which is really good. Which is good for all the different types of entities, trusts, individuals, and partnerships can get it out tax-free without any problems. With a company, it's a little bit trickier. Talk to me about that one, but trying to get the $10,000 out tax-free out of a company is a little bit different, but there's certainly strategies you can use. JobKeeper, we'll talk about that. There's 2 slides. Okay, that's meant to be the 30th of March 2020. I just did this really quickly, I'm sorry. The period of time is the 30th of March 2020 to the 27th of September 2020. So you've got 13 fortnights, 26 weeks. That's the period of time that this goes for when it comes to employees. The business must demonstrate a one-time occasion of a drop of 30% from a comparable period. Can use the March 2020, can use April 2020, can use the March quarter 2020, can use April to June quarter 2020, and they can compare that to previous year periods of the same period in previous years or periods. So it's very confusing, I know. Easiest way is to look at March 2020 versus March 2019 first, look at April 2020 versus April 2019, look at the quarter versus quarter, etc., etc. They're the first 4 things to look at. And then if for some reason businesses aren't going to be eligible because they knew, or because they had a growth and then a dip. So they bring out 7 more tests for turnover tests, which make those sort of businesses that have gone like this also eligible. So basically, it's a lot easier to get eligible than you might think, unless your business is constantly like this. If it's had any sort of this at all, then likely you will be able to get it some way or another. One thing you can do, let's say April 2020 is shit, like a lot of times, but for some reason April 2019 wasn't great either because something was going on. You can actually look at another way, and the one is that you might look at the 12 months from April 2019 to March 2020. You look at the average of those months. If there's a 30% drop from that average, you're eligible. Okay, so there's things like that. That's a very easy test, well, a test that we look at, and that's the easiest one to determine if you're eligible or not. So if you fall outside of those, and then if you have been around longer than that, then they look at the average of those months, and if you drop 30%, let's say you've been going 6 months only, and you look at those 6 months, and then all of a sudden April's 30% drop on that average of 6 months, there would also be an argument to qualify there as well. How it works, the casuals need to have been employed since the 1st of March 2019 to be eligible. So if the casual employee, if they're less than 12 months, then they're not eligible. Any employees that you employ after the 1st of March 2020, full-time or casual, not eligible. So all full-timers that were employed prior to the 1st of March 2020, if they're still employed as of the 30th of March 2020, they're eligible. all eligible employees of the business are to be paid a minimum of $1,500 a fortnight in order to be part of the JobKeeper scheme. Business employer is reimbursed from the ATO on a monthly in arrears basis. It's usually 5 out of the 6 months, it's going to be $3,000 for the month. There's 1 month in September where it's 4.5. And that's for each employee that's eligible during that period, as long as you paid them that amount. Okay, it's part 2. We're getting down to sort of nearly, I've got to probably go off in about 5 minutes. Part 2, the one in all in rule means if you can't just pick and choose employees. If employee is eligible based on the rules, then you must pay them, or they mustn't be staff, one of the two. So if they're any sort of staff that's on hand, you can't just pick and choose, they've got to be included. There are various turnover tests, as we said, you can consider to be eligible. There's been recent changes announced to 16 and 17-year-olds. The first 3 fortnights, it's deemed that they were potentially eligible, but now they've been deemed ineligible from that point onwards. If they're full-time students, obviously. Sole traders are eligible, so if you're a sole trader, you can actually get the JobKeeper payment for yourself. Okay, so don't think that if you're a JobKeeper that you may not be able to, sorry, as a sole trader, you may not be able to get this. Companies, trusts can nominate one beneficiary that isn't an employee. Okay, so that's good to know, as long as that beneficiary's got some sort of proper involvement within that business. It can't just be grandmother who doesn't know anything about the business. I'm sorry, it has to be somebody who actually knows what's going on and connected to the business, getting distributions, having involvement. Companies can nominate a director or a shareholder to be eligible that isn't an employee. So if you're not getting paid a wage as from the company, but you're getting dividends as a shareholder, or you're a director, then you can also get that as well. What we'll do now is take some questions. Any questions? I've got 3 or 4 minutes, and then we might just call it a wrap.
Thank you, Tim, for sharing that with us. That was very interesting, as usual. And it seems like JobKeeper, yeah, it's very complicated to manage. I experienced that myself. I think the best way is, if anybody has any questions, please get directly in contact with Tim, as you can then discuss that on a personal level and individual level. Thank you for everybody. Look, I like to wrap it up here. Sorry I wasn't such a good timekeeper this morning, trying to do it a little bit better next time. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something. If you have an idea for a speaker or a presenter at the next meeting, please let me know, and we're trying to slot that in. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to let me know, or anybody in the team. So thank you all again for joining the Bots team this morning. It was wonderful. Thank you, Tim, for hosting and organizing it. And with this one, I think we close it for today. Have a safe day and a good weekend and good Mother's Day. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a pleasure to see you all. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yeah,
and
thanks so much, Tim.
make sure you say hello to your mother on Mother's Day. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.